The primary way in which zebra or quagga mussels are moved from one basin to another is by hitchhiking on trailered watercraft and equipment, either as attached mussels or as veligers in standing water. If you're involved in any way with the overland transport of watercraft, either as part of your job or as a boat owner, you should know how to inspect for the presence of these mussels and the basic principles of decontamination. Sergeant Eric Anderson of the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife will now demonstrate how to conduct a watercraft inspection and decontamination for quagga and zebra mussels.
Hello, my name is Eric Anderson and I'm an officer with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. And today I'm going to show you how to inspect watercraft for the presence of aquatic invasive species, and in particular the zebra and quagga mussel. Before we get into an inspection though, I'd like to point out some items that will help you through this process and ensure that you do a thorough job. The first item that you should have is a watercraft inspection form. This form should serve as a checklist to walk you through the inspection. The next item that you can have is a small inspection mirror. A lot of the areas where mussels will settle are really hard to see. The inspection mirror will allow you to reach in and get a better view where otherwise you might not be able to see. Additionally, a small flashlight. A lot of the areas that mussels like to settle are very dark. A flashlight will let you get in there and get a clear view. And the last thing that you should have is a magnifying glass. Remember, early in the video they talked about mussel that have settled on a surface often have the feeling of grit. A magnifying glass will let you get in there, get a closer view, and see if you actually have mussels. Now that we have these items, let's work through an inspection. After you've got the information of the vessel and its owner on the inspection form, then follow the form through the checklist on inspecting the parts. The first part that we're going to inspect is the hull. You want to remember to do a very methodical and systematic check of the hull and realize that when you do one side of the vessel, you then need to inspect the other. As you're inspecting the hull, you might note on this boat that it has bottom paint on it. This is an anti-fouling paint, and this will sometimes retard the mussels from adhering to it, but not always. They still can be attached to it. So make sure you look at the bottom of the vessel and that you're paying attention to anything where there's an edge or an angle. This is an area that mussels like to attach to. Also, when you have growth on the bottom of the vessel like this, oftentimes this can mask the mussels. So you need to rub your hand, and you'll feel the mussels a lot of times in this before you actually see them. Make sure you work your way down the hull. Another area of the hull to pay particular attention to is anywhere that there's been a scrape in the anti-fouling paint. This provides an area that's rough, and it's usually in a hidden area, and mussels like to attach there. Now that we've finished the hull, we'll check that off of our checklist, and now we'll go to the next item, and that is the outdrives. You have to be real careful with the outdrives. There's a lot of working parts and a lot of areas where mussels can attach. Let's go in here and take a closer look. Again, being systematic on it, I like to approach by starting at one end and working my way forward on it. Pay particular attention to the exhaust tub of the propeller. This is an area where mussels can attach, and it's very sheltered. They like to get in there. Working up, you can see on the lower part of the outdrive here, this is the water intake. This is where the engine takes cooling water into it. And here you can see we have some mussels attached in there. It's very important to not just look at the outside of the intake. Mussels will get up into those nooks and crannies and be hard to see. Make sure you get to the angle where you can look back up into the intakes, and you'll actually see that the mussels are up inside there starting to plug that intake. As you work up the outdrive, you can see this is the cavitation plate. Again, mussels are all encrusted through here at areas where there's a right angle. Anywhere that it's sheltered and shaded, they like to attach. Now we have the hydraulic ram. And a lot of people would think that mussels probably wouldn't attach here because there's so much moving with the ram going in and out. But as you can see, they will attach right up to the point where they do not get scraped off. Moving farther up, we'll get into the gimbal unit. And this is another spot where some of those items I talked about will come in handy. As you can see back in here, it's very shaded. This is where you can use your flashlight to light up and get a better look in there. Additionally, mussels like to attach on the undersides of things, and a lot of times you might not be able to get back up in there and look. This is where the inspection mirror can come in handy. you can actually get back in and see the back side of a lot of these parts. Now we'll move in and we'll inspect the trim tabs. The trim tabs are another area where mussels really like to attach. And they're kind of a hard area sometimes to inspect because they have a lot of nooks and crannies, they've got a lot of angles. One key point is make sure that you get down and look underneath the trim tabs. This is a lot of area, it's shaded and it's sheltered, and mussels like to attach there. Pay particular attention to in behind the rams of the trim tabs. Again, these are areas where mussels will attach, and you'll find large congregations of them. And remember, when you're going through the inspection process, and with things such as outdrives and trim tabs, there's always a port side and a starboard side. Make sure that you inspect both units. The next item on the inspection list is the transducer. This is the electronic unit that is known as the depth sounder, and this is the unit that actually sends down the sonar echo. This hangs off the back of the transom of the vessel and provides lots of areas for mussel attachment. Do not overlook the underside. This provides a lot of shade area and mussels will like to attach. Pay particular attention to the bracket and areas around the bracket. And also don't forget to inspect the wire. After you've finished inspecting the outside of the watercraft, now it's time to move inside. Remember, there are bilges, holds, live wells, and fish wells all contain standing water, and these are areas that mussel and mussel larvae can be in. Make sure you get in and inspect these areas. As you can see down in here, the bilge provides an area where there could be standing water. Anytime you encounter standing water in a bilge or live well, make sure that it's drained thoroughly and that you inspect it. One thing to remember when doing vessel inspections, watercraft come in all shapes and sizes, but that still doesn't change how you do the inspection. Make sure to use your tools, do a methodical process, and you'll work your way through the inspection. One thing to remember on aluminum boats, in particular pontoon boats or welded aluminum boats, there's seams where the welds took place, and these create little adhesion points where the mussels will congregate. As you can see right here, we have mussel attachments all through here. Now we're going to inspect the outboard engine on this vessel. Remember, you can turn the engine to get a clearer look at many parts of it. One of the things, again, you want to concentrate on, look for the water line. This will give you the area to concentrate on while doing the inspection. When inspecting the outboard motors, make sure you pay particular attention to any little recesses, any angles, bolt heads. Those are where you're going to find a majority of the mussels attached. As you can see right up in here, we have mussels up in one of the engine bolts. This is a twin drive vessel, so we have two prop shafts to take a look at. Now lots of times when you're doing the inspection of the prop shafts, this will require you to get back up under the boat, and you may have to get a little dirty, but you'll be doing a proper inspection. When inspecting the prop shafts, a lot of times this is where you want to get up and actually reach in and feel. This will add to the visual inspection. You're also double checking by the feel to see if you can feel any of the mussels in there, to feel if they're gritty or the bumps. Again, if you feel anything that's gritty, use the flashlight to get a clearer view and make sure what you have.